Hi guys, it's Road Dog Speaks, back with another video. Welcome back. So today I wanted to do a video really addressing somebody in the past couple of weeks or more that has just been so vile and disgusting and insightful in her language that she has really no place near the levers of power in this country. Who am I talking about? Of course, Suella Braverman, the Home Secretary, or Cruella Braverman, who I like to call her. So where to start with this, really? I know I've done a previous video about, and that was one of my lives where I talked about the issues around Palestine and Israel and protests and you know, what the right thing to say is and things like that, and language around how we talk about it. But really, I honestly do think that this woman is just inflaming such toxic views that already exist. She's really becoming very, very dangerous and really just shouldn't be allowed in her job anymore as Home Secretary. It's almost as if she's purposefully, you know, saying these things in order to get fired. I mean, that's what some people seem to be saying, is that, you know, by saying these very inflammatory, toxic, dangerous things about, you know, Palestine and the pro-Palestine marches for this weekend, and also the most recent stuff that she said about homelessness and that it's a lifestyle choice. I mean, for goodness sake, it's so beyond the pale what she's saying. So I mean, I'll jump straight into it. Most recently she has been on the old Twitter saying stuff like, as I said, homelessness is a lifestyle choice, and that she thinks that we should ban giving out tents to homeless people. But really, like the other things that she's been saying about the recent marches in London in support of a ceasefire in Palestine, the current conflict whereby at the moment Israel is just bombarding Gaza with as much firepower as possible. I think the current death toll stands at around roughly 10,000 people, and that includes 4,000 children. Children who have nothing to do with Hamas, have nothing to do with the terrorists, are just trying to survive. But Suella Braverman, in her infinite wisdom, thinks that all the people that are going on these pro-Palestine, pro-peace, pro-ceasefire marches are all hateful people. Hateful people that are just, that are anti-Semitic, hate Jews, hate Israelis, are somehow like fringe extremists who are wanting to cause problems, are sympathetic to terrorists, to Hamas. Absolutely not the case at all. And I really want to stress how important this is, that it is, you know, completely possible to condemn what Hamas did on the 7th of October in killing all of those thousands of innocent people and taking people hostage. Disgusting. And it is also possible to condemn what Israel is doing, specifically Netanyahu, who is systematically bombing the shit out of the Gaza Strip and indiscriminately firing rockets and missiles at civilians. Don't care which way you try and paint it, that's what is happening. That is what is going on. And the death toll, as I said, is just getting higher and higher every week, every day. So, you know, how many people have to die in Gaza for this to stop? That's a genuine question. But anyway, Suella Braverman just inciting ever more hatred, ever more division, by just using this rhetoric, this really awful, insightful rhetoric. I mean, you could argue that it's stochastic terrorism what she's doing, because she's almost, by creating these wedges, these divisions within communities, she's not bringing people together, she's not creating community cohesion, she is actively trying to pit people against each other. So on this coming weekend, we have a pro-Palestine march, they're calling for a ceasefire, right? And they're asking, all they're asking for is, you know, can we please try and get this bombing campaign to stop so we can get some help to these poor suffering people in Gaza who have done nothing wrong. Apparently that's controversial, but what do I know? And then we've also got an event to mark Armistice at the Cenotaph. Now, you know, lots of politicians, and there's been lots of media furore about whether or not this pro-Palestine march should be banned, because it's disrespectful in the wake of Armistice. This is funny to me because, you know, to ban what is essentially an armistice march on Armistice weekend, that's laughable, is it not? That is absolutely ridiculous and laughable, and just really shows how far our democracy has fallen, in that our government, if they would really want, would like to ban a peaceful pro-peace protest at the weekend in which we are marking peace. And so we've now reached a point where the language that she's using is so extreme and so insightful and so damaging, to the point, like, she's not even being really reined in at all by Rishi Sunak, who really should be doing that job of telling her, hey, can you just tone that language down a bit, because I think that you're causing a lot of, like, shit stirring. He's not done that at all. He's not told her to stop. He's just letting her say whatever it is she wants to say. We've got today's Daily Mail front page with a message from Sarah Vine, of all people, saying, "My message to the ignorant snowflakes who desecrate Poppy Day and glorify Hamas." And then the headline reads, "Pray they don't end up with a riot at the Cenotaph." Because that's the level we've got to, folks. We're really scraping the barrel here, because we've got to a point where the division has come to such that, you know, there's a danger that the very far right fringes, who are like really pro, you know, patriotic English flag, you know, anti Muslim sort of groups like Tommy Robinson types, will be all up in arms trying to defend the Cenotaph from these, like, what they believe to be you know, Hamas sympathizers, who are like, you know, we're going to side with terrorists, which is absolutely not the case at all. But that's the rhetoric, that's the narrative that's been created by this woman who's gone unchallenged. It's almost like they're wanting there to be riots between a peaceful pro-Palestine ceasefire march and the group that is more likely to cause violence, which is, you know, the EDL, far right extremist groups. Yes, there's always going to be your fringe groups at these rallies, at these protests, like there would be at any sort of protest. There's going to be your crazy nut jobs who say and hold signs that are insightful and nasty, and the police should deal with them appropriately. But, you know, 90 to 95% of these people are there to march for peace because they want the bombing to stop. They want the suffering to end. They do not want to see in the news day after day children in hospitals that are being bombed, getting wheeled on trolleys, bleeding out. Nobody wants to see that every single day. They want it to stop. Apparently that's unreasonable. That's controversial. Like, oh, but you must be siding with Hamas then, because what else is Israel supposed to do? Oh, they've got a right to defend themselves. Oh my God. Like I said, there's always going to be your extremists on every sort of, on all sides of the spectrum. But, you know, there's Conservatives in the Conservative Party who have been charged with sexual assault. More than one. Do you think we should rename the Conservative Party the Sexual Assault Party? That's the logic, you know? It's ridiculous. But this has just descended. It's completely descended into this really divisive, dangerous, insightful narrative where this is where we are. And apparently it's now controversial to have an armistice march on Armistice weekend. Which in itself, you know, is it's sort of just diluted what Armistice Day is all about, and instead it's sort of like this sort of loyalty test of like, how patriotic are you for Britain, which is really completely not what Armistice Day is about. It's about like creating conditions for peace, stopping the violence and trying to come to terms with what has happened, as well as, you know, commemorating the war dead, specifically in the First World War. But it's turned into something completely different, and, you know, it's almost as if the right wing in this country has just weaponised it and hijacked it, and turned it into something like, you know, a test of, you know, how loyal you are and how patriotic you are to the UK, which is absolutely not what it should be about. And it's a crying shame. And I'm glad that the Met Police Commissioner has said that these marches can take place at the weekend, because, you know, they're going nowhere near the cenotaph. The route is completely going the other direction. So, and they've said, like, we're not gonna, you know, interrupt the Armistice Memorial. Let them have a march and then let them have their Armistice Memorial. Both things can be true. But, you know, we live in a country and we live in a world where you can't have nuanced thought or nuanced debate anymore. Hey ho. Anyway, I'd love to know what your thoughts about this are. I know it's an active conversation always, so yeah, love to see your comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe as well. I've just reached 300 subscribers, so thanks very much guys for that. Keep them coming, and yeah, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you again in another video. Bye.